It's interesting that we have gone live. I don't know how many times now. I mean, I don't know. And every single week I get to YouTube, I'm like, where am I supposed to log on to go live for like the pre-scheduled lives? I don't know why I keep forgetting. Maybe it's age. Perhaps there is something about age and not remembering the smaller things, but every time I come in and I'm like, okay, Gwendolyn, where are we going again? So I find myself clicking around to figure out how I'm supposed to go live. So go figure. But we're here. We like to, of course, start a few minutes early so I can get myself together because that would be great, right? To get myself together. And then that also allows others who are going to tune in to tune in. So while we're doing that, we got like another 3 minutes. We'll just do a little bit of background here. So I am Gwendolyn Houston Jack. I am the owner of HouJack Digital Marketing Solutions. Our focus is to, work with small and medium-sized Black and Brown-owned businesses so that they are using their digital marketing dollars to its fullest, right? We like to, as we say, exhaustive free, but we create a comprehensive digital marketing plan that allows you to get the most bang for your buck. And we also recognize that entrepreneurship is a career choice, so we offer career coaching as well. Just because you started a business doesn't mean that you are now done. There's a lot that needs to be learned beyond the basics of operating your business, right? So we focus on those competencies and the skills to help small business owners truly thrive in the career of entrepreneurship. And we do this, our YouTube live, every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, provided that all goes well. Sometimes other things pop up, but for the most part, we are here at 1 o'clock and we're discussing different topics. And today we want to look at conducting a PESTLE analysis. So a lot of people have done more than likely a SWOT analysis to look at their strengths and their weaknesses, their opportunities, all those things. But that's about them, right? Your PESTLE analysis is going to look at what's going on outside that can help you. Now, me, myself, in my former life, we used to do what's called an if this, then that meeting. And what it did was it allowed us to plan ahead. You want to be proactive as much as possible. As much as possible, be proactive. So we would have a meeting about our staff, upcoming marketing campaigns, and other things happening in the organization to figure out what decisions we should more than likely make today to impact tomorrow. Prime example, if we know we have a good set of employees that are currently in college and they're about to graduate, how many of them are going to keep their current job with us and how many of them are going to leave? And if they leave, should we replace that person or can we make it for like 3 months and then have a job opening, right? So the idea is to be proactive, not waiting until something happens. Just by chance, for my own company, I invested in some technology in 2019 because at that time I had customers in different cities and states. And so traveling back, it gets a little expensive. So I was trying to find a way to conduct a presentation virtually, and I invested in some software that allowed me to do that. And then lo and behold, 2020 shows up and we're already ready. So it's thinking ahead and figuring out where you have opportunities of growth. That's the point of a PESTLE analysis. So let's get us what's the right word? An official definition of a PESTLE analysis. It is a tool used by businesses that looks at your macroeconomic factors, right? Things on the outside that can impact your organization. So make sure I get them all right because I have them here just in case I forget, because sometimes. So we have P is your political. We've got E for economic. We have S for sociological. T is going to be technological. And then we have E for legal and L for E for legal, E for environmental factors. So all those things can impact your business. And again, if you get ahead of what's happening, then you can figure out what moves you should make. So it's really about strategic decision making, being proactive versus reactive. So, what are some of these factors that we're looking at? Well, if we're looking at the political factor, so some of the laws that are passed in your city, in your county, your state can impact your business either positive or negative. So being aware of the political environment that you're currently in, it's going to change some things. Now, I'm in Texas, right? I'm in Texas, and some of the laws that are being placed or passed, it makes me a little nervous. Like prime example, if I was to travel to Florida, I'm not so sure how I'm going to feel. All of a sudden, they now have it where you can just carry a gun, and not that that is what makes me nervous. Is the fact that humans are highly emotional, irrational animals, and if someone for whatever reason felt threatened, am I now going to be in a position where okay, things are going to get kind of out of pocket, right? So think about the political state that your um, city or county or state is in. How does that impact your business? When we're looking at economic factors, now these are, I think this is one of the easiest ways that you could be proactive. I mean, right now we're looking at the inflation rate, and we know that the Fed has increased those points. I don't know how many times now. That if you have a small business loan or a small business credit card, your interest rate is probably going up. It's a little bit more, right? So that's going to impact how much money you now have available to invest in something else. And it may also impact what you decide to invest in or delay. But more importantly, what about your customers? Okay. So if where you're thriving in your business is that you're typically like a splurge, maybe your customer that you're currently speaking to and serving, maybe they're now saying, wow, things are changing. I'm not going to get the increase that I thought I was going to get. And, you know, my APR just went up. So now the debt I was carrying is far more than what it was a month ago. Maybe I need to like step back from some of the discretionary purchases I would normally make. And that may very well impact your traffic. Something to think about. So those economic factors make a difference. Now, we'll just say right here, right now, with the threat of a recession, and depending on what industry you're in, you're probably feeling a little bit of that. But there's been a lot of talk of the recession. Here's the big one. This is coming. And so people get a little nervous and they start tightening their wallet. We also had a couple of banks that failed. That is going to make people nervous and say, well, maybe I should take my money out the bank and put it back underneath the mattress. I mean, all these things can impact your traffic and your business's bottom line. So consider those economic factors. Then we have sociological factors, right? So these are all your social factors. This is your demographic changes, your population growth changes, um, health consciousness, career attitudes. All those things are going to impact as well. I thought, I thought after 2020, with the height of COVID, there would be this huge shift in work life balance, right? And that shift has happened. It's more of a work life integration. However, there are some things that are still holding us back a little bit. In my opinion, there's one half that is it's about the life I'm living, my family, my friends, my experiences, and then there's this other half that wants to go back to status quo. So it's kind of wonky, right? So for those who are like, hey, I'm only here for a little bit, but I want to make sure I really share my time with those who really mean a lot to me, then they are looking at some different purchases, some different experiences that, depending again on what your business is going to again, impact your traffic. Bringing customers who you had never even talked to into your door. But it could also be a change of, well, you know what? I'm not going into the office the way I used to, right? I'm working remote now. So I don't really need all of the blazers and the pantsuits and the skirts. I may not need to subscribe to this clothing subscription program because I'm not traveling the way I used to. I don't drive the way I used to, right? So when you look at some of those changes in the demographic and the attitudes, how does that impact your bottom line? Technological factors, technological factors. Okay. Software, right? Research and development. Now, the latest thing has been all AI. So we'll just go ahead and say it, AI. Let's go ahead, throw it out there. How is that going to change how our business operates? Is it going to be a plus? Can it save us some time? Can it enhance our customers' experience? Is it going to take away some customers? Eh, that's a good question. Me personally, being in the photography business, not really concerned about the AI monster as they call it. I'm actually looking at it in terms of enhancing my customers' experience and saving me time. So that's one where you think, okay, should we look at the changes happening in technology? How does that go back and change how we're operating today? Again, let's go back to 2020 when there were a lot of people who were doing just the brick and mortar, nothing else. Then you have COVID and everybody has to shelter in place. So now you don't have people coming into your store. How do you still serve those people? Pickup, delivery, online order, all these things. Now, personally, I don't believe in being complacent. I believe you should always be looking at what's next for your company, what's next for your customers' experience. Like I said, in the beginning, I had no problems traveling city to city, state to state. And then things change because it's time and gas goes up, gas goes down. So my next thought was maybe if I could do this virtually, it will save time and the customer can also be at their home but still have the same in-person experience. And then 2020 happens, right? So if you stop and look at what's on the horizon for your company in terms of technology, you can get ahead of what's coming or what may happen. So that's that factor. Last two legal factors refers to laws that we have to follow as a business. That could be consumer laws, employment laws, health and safety laws. Uh, I'm a one person business, so there's really not much here. But if we had employees, right? And I know certain states are looking at changing the uh, what do you call it? I can't think of that fancy word. What's that fancy word? Something to do with wages and rates and employees and your per hour. It'll come to me. The train is slowly leaving, slowly leaving the station. Minimum wage. There it is. That fancy word. So some of them are looking at changing the minimum wage, and then there's also been in certain states looking at requiring paid leave. So those laws can definitely impact again your bottom line in terms of what you are able to bring in for profit. Lastly, is the environmental factors, and that's the impact on the environment, climate change, weather patterns. I don't know about you guys, but the severe weather that's been happening, and there's more of it than there has been in the past. I find that to be concerning. So don't know where you stand on climate change, but I do know that April started in Texas with a bang. And I can't help but notice as these storms were moving towards the east, how many really violent tornadoes popped up. The EF4s and the EF3s, and I don't know, there was a five in there, whatever, but I'm seeing more of them to the east than I had ever in the past. Like, Tornado Alley was kind of always right down here in the middle. And I don't know if it's moving this way. Just saying. But those things make a difference too, right? Because if you are, say, for example, a business like mine that enjoys doing some work outside, then what happens when you have more extreme weather than you ever anticipated? Like, there are some things going on out there. So let's talk about the benefits of conducting a PESTLE analysis. And something too, whether you have a small business, medium, large, or you're a freelancer, or you work for someone, I believe a PESTLE analysis is great for all those things because it allows you to plan ahead. We're looking at layoffs again, again, right? Depending on your industry and where you are currently working, you can get ahead and say, okay, things are looking kind of wonky right now for technology, people in the tech area. Am I on the chopping block? If I might be, what are some of my other areas that I could go if I believe that my my area may be impacted? There is a place where planning ahead is always a good thing. If you're a freelancer, how does that impact who you normally serve? Like if you stay on a project for 3 to 4 years and you're only in year two and it's looking kind of wonky, what do you do? How do you plan for that? Right? So we don't have to just have it for a business, but a pestle analysis has its benefits across the board. So let's talk about it from a business standpoint, though. So again, if you conduct one, you can find and identify the external factors that may again impact your operation and your profits. I received in the past 2 months 4 emails from vendors letting me know that their product prices were going up, right? Something about materials and this, that, and the other. And I'm talking about like wood frames. Now, wood is still not on the cheap side. It went up and it's been staying there. So if you produce wood frames for your customers, and then I have to now go back and order that from my customers, yeah, that material has gone up in price, right? So they're letting us know that, hey, things are changing. So we have to increase our prices. That's going to impact my profit. That's going to impact how I do things. Now, I'm not going to jump ship in who I'm going to work with, but I now have to say, how much of this can I absorb before I have to, in turn, possibly pass that on to my customer? Gotta think about it. I would like to absorb as much as possible. But again, depending on what's happening, if it gets to a place of I can no longer absorb this price, then a little bit of that may have to be passed on to my customer as well. So think about how those things impact that bottom line. The second thing we talked about, and we said it before, is identifying new opportunities. We got to keep growing. You have to keep evolving. If you stay where you are, chances are that's not going to be a good thing. And I think about a couple of companies like Research in Motion. Everybody had a BlackBerry at one point. Everyone had a BlackBerry. Okay, just about. Everyone in business had a BlackBerry. It was the phone to have if you were a business person, and they rested on their laurels. And then some other players came on the scene, and the next thing you know, they're trying to catch up, and the ship has left the dock. Like it's too late. It's just too late. Same thing with Palm Pilot. They were on the top. They were doing it, and then they got comfortable. So we have to always keep thinking, what else can I do to enhance my customers' experience, to grow my business, to reach more customers where they are? I think about, again, in my former life, coming from a brick and mortar retail store that we went to, introducing a website that you could pretty much look at product, but you couldn't order yet because we were still doing catalog orders. And then we went to ordering online. And then we added ordering online and picking up in the store. I mean, like we keep enhancing the customer's experience. We keep finding new ways to meet them where they are. You cannot rest on your laurels. Even if you're a small business owner, do not get comfortable. Keep thinking. Using this analysis will help you identify other ways to grow your business, and it'll be in your favor. So think about that. You can also find potential threats to your operations and your profit. Potential threats are there too. Like I said, if this extreme weather keeps up in April, yeah. Now, we do studio work, but if by chance people who really want that outdoor, photo session with mother or father or the grandparents for that have you, there's only so many rain delay dates. It's just what it is. And then the thing about Texas is at a certain point, it gets really, really hot, extremely hot. So we're thinking, okay, so if I can't work out here, where's my other place to get this done for my customer? Think about those threats. More importantly, you can use this analysis to help you make strategic decisions before. I am team proactive. I am team, let me see what's coming up and get ahead of it. Be prepared for it. Whenever I would do any kind of videos, because in again, the former life, we were in front of the camera quite often, right? And we were also conducting classes, both virtually and in person. There were always at least three plans. There was plan A, the way I wanted it to go. No problems, no issues, close to perfect. Plan B was, well, if this doesn't work out, we're going to do XYZ. Plan C was, if these two things are failing, we can still get this done, right? And then every blue moon, we had like a plan D and E and F hanging out there too. You have to think about it. The idea of showing up and being like, oh my God, what happens next is not a great way to work. It's not a great way to work. So think about all the things that could be happening and how you can plan ahead, strategic decision making. If you are a small business owner, and if you're in a county or a city or a state where they're about to raise the minimum wage, ask yourself, what does that do? Now, everybody says, I can't, there's no way that I can stay in business and pay people well. Honestly, I call BS on that, but that's just me. I'm just saying. There's enough pie for everybody to have a living wage, in my opinion. But if the idea that your employee has to suffer so that you can like ride in whatever you're riding in, but that's a different topic for a different day and a different show. But think about how that might impact how many employees you hire in the next quarter if something like that was to pass in your state, city, or county. Think about that. Lastly, this helps us stay up to date on what's happening. A lot of us like to put our head in the ground like an ostrich and act as if nothing is happening out here and none of this stuff really impacts me, but it does. It does impact you. Now, I would say, if anything, I would do a PESTLE analysis maybe twice a year. Three, you can even do one a quarter, right? Like I know for, again, for my former life, we would do an if this, then that meeting. It was about once about every 5 months, right before things would really change. Because we had a couple of periods. I mean, we're talking retail. There's a couple of periods where it's about to get really busy, like right before summer, the holiday seasons. You can plan ahead for that. So if you're planning for, let's say, the holiday season, well, you don't wait until November. You start talking about that in August to get things together. You place your order like June, right? For like your product. So you can plan for what's supposed to happen, what could be happening. And if it doesn't happen, great. That's a great thing. If it does happen, great. You're already prepared. So like for myself, I did a quick little analysis for myself, looking at some things, right? I did a quick little analysis. A couple of things of mine was technology. People are discussing the whole idea about like cell phones, and right now the whole thing is AI. I'm not concerned. I am by no means concerned because the person who needs to use an AI tool to create a headshot or any other kind of artwork, that person's not my ideal client. So I'm okay. And everybody's not your client. So I'm fine. Am I worried about cell phones? Nope. I'm not worried about that either. I wasn't worried about that either back then. Should I be aware of it? Yes, I am aware of it. Not because I'm trying to compete with it, but I know when I talk to certain people, these potential clients, they are saying, can you do what looks like this in my cell phone? Can you do blah, blah, blah? I want this look, yada, yada, yada. So I understand that. So I am aware of the technology, but I'm not threatened by it. But I also know that with some of this technology, again, it can enhance my customer's experience. If I can turn my product around faster than what I do today, can you imagine the response? Like, wait, I can take my photos today and then you can get them back to me by tomorrow. And let's be honest, if you have ever worked with a photographer or if you're in the photo business, you know that by the time you leave the session, your customer is already on their phone, sending you an email or a text saying, are my photos done yet? I just left your session. That would be a no. I need to like download them. I need to call them and do all this stuff. But if you're using technology, the right one, that could save you time on sorting through all the images, picking out the best ones, getting them edited, then yeah, that's going to really help your customer's experience. Like, ugh, amazing. So look at what could impact your company in terms of technology. Something else that may impact, again, um, my business specifically, it would be I'm gonna go with there are some politics. Like I said, the stuff that's going on, God bless here in Texas, Lord, I don't know. I don't even know. I do know for the very first time, and I have family in Florida, family and friends in Florida. I got a little concerned about this idea of everybody just carrying a gun because they can. And I would rarely say that I was frightened, but there is an air of concern because not everybody wants to be a hero. And if someone is not aware of what's going down, right? Like it feels like the wild, wild west. So there was this little part of me that said, as much as I love traveling to Florida and being on the beaches, which are so pretty, and the food is amazing. I thought, do I really want to travel to Florida? Oh no, I'm not so sure. It's like, ugh. These state politics, it does impact what happens on the outside. Now, again, I'm in Texas. We are not too far behind Florida. Just gonna go ahead and say that. We're not too far behind, but what can I tell you? So I did consider that. In regards to like social changes, um, for my company, what did I get? There was a thing about social media. I do know that there's a lot of videos and things. And with AI, there have been some discussions that do you still need a photographer to help create some of your social media branding images and what have you? That answer will always be yes, because that AI tool, you're feeding it an image, your photographer that you work with, they're going to capture you in the moment. They're going to capture your authentic essence. So, yeah, we'll still be there. Am I concerned about it? Nah, not so much, but I did write it down as something that I just need to be aware of. But the one thing that is going to impact me again is the availability and the cost of equipment and what I sell. I sell albums, I sell wall art, and making frames by hand in the US with quality wood isn't cheap. It's not cheap, right? Even the paper, the cost of the printing paper has gone up. So these are the things that I have to look at to say, okay, again, I can absorb a good chunk of the cost, but there's going to be a point where I'm going to have to say, raise my prices just a smidge, just a smidge, but we shall see. So that is the plus of conducting a PESTLE analysis for your company. It helps you get ahead. It helps you look at opportunities for growth. It helps you plan for what the future could be. But more importantly, it is proactive versus reactive. And we don't want to be where we were with COVID And here we are, the world is shut down. And now what do I do? I don't know exactly where we are with the looming recession. Clearly, there is something going on. There is something going on. Gas prices are going back up again. And everybody's like, get an EV, biological vehicle. Yeah, but the infrastructure isn't available for that truly. So check your news, read your paper, stay aware of what's going on, and then find some time to just do one in this next 2 quarters. Just do one and plan accordingly. Now, next week, we're going to start our customer series. We're going to look at your ideal client, the types of customers that are out there, and we're going to talk about you and managing your emotions when it comes to people who aren't your customer and they choose somebody else, right? So next week, it is going to be that ain't your customer anyway. Sometimes you have to use grammatical errors to get your point across because then people start to listen to you. All right. So we will see you all next week, 1 o'clock, here on HouJack DMS. Until then.